Welcome back to Word Blindness, Dyslexia Exposed. This is Juliette Hahn here with my co-host, Brent Sopel. How are you?
Oh, what a wonderful day.
Today, we're going to be talking, I feel like this is a Sesame Street episode. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about dyscalculia, and I'm going to read the definition. No, I'm not.
Wow. You're going to read?
I'm not.
What a treat.
But I did. Look at this. I mean,
Jesus.
it's not just like a fucking sentence. Okay, so I will actually, and we like to say dyscalculia. I like to say, when I say dyscalculia, my kids, stop saying that. Why are you saying it like that?
Well,
and I'm like, that's what the scientists say.
That's the proper terminology. I always say dyscalculia, because it's easier. People have to recognize, some recognition to that, but it's the proper term is dyscalculia.
Yeah. But I used to say dyscalculia too. I didn't know.
But nobody knows what either term is.
No, because so basically is a learning disability resulting in difficulty learning or comprehending arithmetic, such as difficulty in understanding numbers. I don't know what that word is. Learning how to manipulate numbers, performing mathematical calculations, and learning.
Oh, Rad, your face just got trying to read that.
I know. I was like, fuck. Numeracy?
You're not good with numbers.
That's not good reading either, apparently.
We knew that coming in.
We all have our strengths. Okay. So the reason why we wanted to talk more about this, because there's been a lot of people lately, I know on my side, that have been like, I didn't even know about dyscalculia or dysgraphia.
Didn't you sit on a Zoom meeting recently with this? This is where a lot of this, your awareness kind of.
Yeah. It did. Well, because then I was like, oh my gosh. And also I was never officially diagnosed with dyscalculia. Montgomery was. And then when he was diagnosed, I was like, well, wait a second. I was just bad in math and no one could teach me. And then when I started looking into it, I was like, oh my God, I'm totally dyscalculia. And we laughed because I was talking about like some of my summer jobs or like the over tipping, or I never under tip because I never wanted to be cheap. So I always over tip. That happens to
we
cause
did that
problems.
The other night with the pizza. Elizabeth gave me the side-eye dirty look and I'm like, just tip them whatever. I'm like, that's the first time here. We got to make sure he's happy. Wasn't very good pizza anyway. So yeah. But that happens. Like, so I always overtip because I never want to look cheap, but I'm always like, that was part of when I lived in New York City and I wasn't making enough money and I overtipped everyone and I became a little in debt. But Montgomery, and then this is what Truman was recently diagnosed with. And it's funny, there's a couple times he's been, I don't know, someone with a valet, but I know that sounds so uppity. But anyways, he tipped the valet driver and he was telling Dan and I how much he tipped. And we were like, no. He's like, why? He was a nice guy. He needs it. And we're like, you have no money. You are a child and you're not making enough money to do that. But he doesn't really have a sense though. He is not good with numbers as much as like Penelope and Dan. Well, I don't know if we can calculate that to tipping a valet guy to dyscalculia, like
because he couldn't. Well, you're right. Okay.
What are you supposed to? Okay, give me the definition of how much are you supposed to tip a valet guy?
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. Because there's no percentage, right?
Thank you.
So I'm sorry. That was a terrible. My whole point was he's not good with like numbers and knowing the sense or the.
Oh yeah, I've got nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah,
so,
I've got nothing either.
It is living in again, we talk about reading and all of this, but also living in a world where now you don't have to, like, thank God you don't have to do algebra every day, even though we had to do learn stupid math that you never need, which makes me angry and I don't even start me with that. But thinking about how to calculate or do anything, I cannot hold numbers in my head. I cannot do it. Even though back in the day, I could remember everyone's telephone numbers.
We all could, right? Right. We thank God I got Elizabeth because Elizabeth's Rain Man and numbers and tell her number. So the first time I met her parents were I think it was her dad's birthday, and I was telling Elizabeth's brother-in-law my phone number.
Oh yeah.
So that he could tell. I got a text like an hour later from her dad, who was at the other side of the table, who didn't have his phone. He left his phone in the car. So he remembered my number.
Amazing.
and text me, hey, I'm like, that's insane because one, he wasn't even part of the conversation. Two, he remembered the number, but he remembered it for an hour, 45 minutes. Like,
that's crazy.
I can't do it for 4.05 seconds. Never mind. But there's a lot of it. Obviously, repetition. We all could remember everybody's number. I remember, obviously, when I was younger, I had to use calling cards. Right? Mm-hmm. I had a lot, calling cards because I was always with hockey, always gone. Or my parents had a gas card. My dad was a traveling salesman, so we had a gas card. You had to dump in like 62 different. We could all remember that, right? So, maybe it's got to do with, remember the homework, drawing the lines on the board. I was bad. Maybe if we do that 10 million times,
10 times, right.
But we're off topic. Is the part of the 5 Ds, obviously we've spoken a lot about. We all have dyslexia. Obviously we know that, dyslexic star. Dysgraphia. What is, a graphic writing, dyscalculia, dyscalculia, math. It's a real thing. And probably 8 out of 10 times when I say those words, whoever I'm telling them to, have no clue what I'm saying.
Right.
And I got to speak, so I always have to speak kind of the way I just did. I've got the reading portion. I've got the writing portion. I've got the math portion. And ADHD is how I kind of break it down into quasi-normal terms so normal people can understand it. But they have no concept. Tell us a little bit more about what you got fascinated, what you heard when you listened. I couldn't jump on that Zoom. I think it was your sister that sent it to you.
No, it was my friend's partner who's a psychologist. Yep. Family psychologist. And it was, they were doing webinars on the different learning disabilities. But there's a couple of things before I jump onto that I do want to say, because I bet there's a percentage of so many people out there that are not diagnosed with dyscalculia or dysgraphia. And we also know the schools have no idea. They have no idea how to teach or how to remediate. And it's really interesting. And I remember when Montgomery was in Southport, he had a math teacher, because he's also dyscalculia, a math teacher say to me, and this guy he was a gem. He would stay up at night trying to figure out how to teach certain kids. And he was like, Juliet, I think I actually have it. He's like, I don't think he's as dyscalculia as we think. He's like, I actually got him to grasp a couple things. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, can you teach me too? And I mean, he just laughed, but he was able, the way he taught him. And it was he's like, I've never seen anything like it. It's just the way Montgomery's brain worked, how he could grab onto math. Now, in every class, when you have teachers that are teaching fast and you're missing every step. So then you get behind. So that's like what happened to me in math. I never had a teacher that could teach me. And then I was just labeled as the dumb girl that couldn't do math, or the girl that couldn't do math. Because there's a lot of girls that were smart that couldn't do math. And then it's like that whole stereotype gender. Oh, girls are not good at math, and science. Boys are, back in our days, they would
Is that what they say?
Oh my God. Yeah. Girls, like, there's no women in STEM, right? So like now the fact that I'm in STEM, I laugh because I'm like, see, you motherfuckers, I am in STEM, which is, yeah. And I'm not going to get into that, what that means. But anyways, it is that, yes, girls are not good at math. They're good in the history and the English, right? Because the girls can sit. And so it's always been a generalization, especially when I was growing up and I was couldn't be taught math. I would have teachers just go in the back. You're not focused. You're not listening. And I'd be like, I just don't understand. And I never was taught math. Like I literally, Penelope the other day was like, well, I want to see how bad you really are. And I was like, oh boy. And she was not saying it meanly, because there was a couple of times we were doing things and she's like, wait, you really can't do that. And I was like, no, I really can't, honey. I'm not. And
everything I've got to do, for me is 5s or like 10s. Like it's like I'm fucking 2 years old. They're counting on my fingers or, I don't know how many times I was hanging the TV yesterday.
Oh,
and there were so many holes. So I had to put, 2 bars on, on the TV and to make sure they're level. It took me probably 10 times to remember how many holes I needed above where the screw was going to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2. or how many times I walk into the rink when I'm teaching hockey, I look up the board and, okay, what dress room are we in?
Oh, yeah.
Walk down the hall, forgot.
Fuck.
Had to go back. When I walked out, I forgot again. Like,
so many times.
That's dyscalculia. Like, it's people, like, it's so exhausting. Like, it took me, I don't know, probably half an hour to do the TV. Right. Obviously he's trying to make it work, but it probably took me 15 minutes just to count the fucking holes to where I got to put them together so that they're, so they're level.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. So, in that webinar, there was a lot of stuff that I think the webinar that I was on the dysgraphic one that had a lot of aha moments. And then I did listen to the dyscalculia one. Okay. And it is it is like what we know. And I'm going to talk about it in a different term, but this is what I learned, but it's easier for me to explain it in like real time. So I'm going to take us to the event. Mm-hmm. And when I did the merchandise table, so the people that were doing the merchandise, very sweet high school students, they left and I was like, oh, I'll jump in. How many people are still coming up to the merchandise? Because it was later. Well, a lot of people came up to the merchandise table, not like a lot. And I was like, I get so fucking sweaty. So then we also had the square device where you had to, put the calculations in. So you have the sheet that says how much it is. Didn't I put that sheet together? Pretty much, I helped you put the numbers together, but I made the PDF. I sent it, yeah. Okay, so I've seen it like multiple times. It's on the table. It's also over here, and every time, how much is this? I have to look. I can't remember how much the price is because that number is not going to stick in my head. Then, if someone's like, "Okay, I'm going to get 2," my brain literally goes 0.
Blank.
It goes blank, right? There's nothing there. It goes blank. And then I get like a panic and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to look so dumb. And this is so crazy. I'm like doing this and there's like, whatever. We're at a dyslexic event. It's like, okay, we're with people that would understand. But I'm like, okay. And I have to like calm my body down.
And that's the wrong person that would understand, right?
Well, no, I'm getting to that one.
Oh,
right.
okay.
No, I'm getting to that one. So this was like, leading up. Okay. I mean, we had a lot of people coming up.
Yeah.
And then there were some kids that wanted to help. And I was like, great, you guys can help. But they were also dyscalculia. So we were working together. But the mom was like, oh my God, thank you so much. That was so kind, giving them confidence. And I'm like, it was also great because I'm like, you hold on to this number. You think about this. Let's write it down. And then, thank God for calculators. I mean, on the phone, because I cannot do anything without a calculator. I cannot, people will be like, well, just break it down like this. Just break it down. My mind literally goes blank and I cannot do it. Cannot. Like no. I've tried for 15
paper and pen, I dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's 5 over here, right? Like,
yep.
I had 22 numbers. Elizabeth, she's got it down in 22 seconds.
It's crazy. It's amazing.
The first number, I'm still stuck on the first number, and I'm 22 seconds in. Like,
yep. No, totally.
It's almost like a strainer. Think of you're straining pasta. The holes are so big, it doesn't catch anything. We just go straight through.
Yep.
Now you go to a person who doesn't have it. It's almost like you're pouring it into a pot. Catches everything.
Yep. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Am I, is that a bad
no,
I just thought of that just now.
No, I love it because also think about all the spaghetti in there. There's all those numbers being put in and it's literally going right out of the holes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like going now, and the water's going out of the holes is what, if you think about the analogy, it's like it's just draining. It's all that information. Your brain is the spaghetti and it's like zoop, out of it. Yeah. When you put it in a pot, it's there. Right. Yeah. So this one example, awesome. He was buying a bunch of different things because he was going to give them out. Yeah. Came over and was like, literally, okay, I'm going to get 6 shirts. Oh wait, no, 7. Oh wait, no, I'll get 7 shirts. How many of these? And I'm like, oh my God. Oh wait, now I'm going to get 5 hats. Oh wait, there's only 4 here. Okay, I'm going to get 3. Are you calculating this? And I was like, no. And you were kind of in the corner watching, and I was like,
I kind of overheard a couple things, and all of a sudden I see you go red, and then I just sat and watched it. Yeah. I didn't know. I wasn't jumping in to help because I would have been 0 help, right? Because I would have panicked and.
Right.
oh yeah, I just kind of let you go, and then you came over. Well,
we figured it out. But I mean, little Logan was next to me, and I'm like, "You getting this?" And he looked at me. He's like, "No," and I was like, "Okay, well, we need to focus."
How many dyslexics does it take to change a light bulb?
Right, as many as it does to calculate. Right. So then he was getting, and then it was like shirts, and then he's like, "Oh wait, I'll get another shirt. How many?" And I'm like, "Okay, shirts are 25, hats are 30. Wait, that shirt is 35 because that was a long sleeve, or 30." And then, but the thing is, this is what I want someone to understand. So when he's saying, I'm like holding on to the number 30 because that's how much the shirt is. When he says 6, the number 30 leaves because now I have 6 in my head. And I'm like, fuck, how much was it? Then I would have to look. And if I didn't get it on the calculator, literally as he was, and then he's putting hats and numbers, I literally could not work fast enough. I'm a 51-year-old woman, and I'm successful. So like, this is like, it's also really, it's humbling. And I know the person that was doing it, but not really that well. He clearly did not understand dyscalculia or know that I had it. Right. And I think if I did, like, I was like, "What, can you just slow down for a second?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." But then he's like, "Hey," I think his kid was there. "Hey, wait, here's these." He's like, "Did you calculate these?" And I was like, "No, I didn't calculate that. Can you just wait 1 second?" I just hold on 1 second. And then, so I'm getting in the calculator, then thank God, little Logan's next to me. I'm like, "You calculate?" He's like, "I got what you said." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Here's the total." Were we getting all the totals? Because on the calculator, I needed a pen and paper, as you said. Right. If I had a pen and paper, I would have been fine. But I could not mentally do it by myself.
Well, so that was my fault. I didn't have a pen and paper at the merchandise table.
I think there probably was behind. And then,
there was for the special orders and stuff, right. But that was in the binder back there. So I got to do a better job keeping pen and paper right there.
Well, for just in case I get stuck in the merchandise. And that's what Elizabeth was so cute, because she's like, I want us walking around, but I was like, oh, I was just going to step in and help them, and didn't anticipate that to happen. But I still, at 51 years old, I still, like, even being at the merchandise table, I started getting a little sweaty, and I was like, okay, you're fine. You're doing, like, stop. Like, but in my head, I'm like, oh, because anything that comes with numbers, standing up, reading out loud, right? There's these certain things, calculating by yourself. I can't fucking calculate anything. Don't ask me to do anything in my head at all. It goes zero.
Obviously, September 15th, we got the golf event. You remember last year how badly I fucked up all the foursomes? But we were nowhere even close.
Well, I think you ran it by me too. I was like, it sounds great.
Worst person gone. So Elizabeth's like, all right, we got to figure that, we had to backtrack out of that. And, now it's, obviously we're back to, done the May event, but now it's, planning that one. I'm like, I've calculated that 17,000 times, and I don't know, I've 616,950. I got different numbers. Right. Oh my God. I never trust myself with numbers. Yeah. Right. And you have to do it. Like, here's the thing. Like, I wasn't going to be like, no, I can't do it. We have to put someone else there. Or no, we don't need any more merchandise sold. I was like, I will step up and do it. But when you're doing the golf, like, you have to do that. You're the person that needs to do the golf event. You have to have the knowledge of it. So it's not like we can there's things that you can push off on other people. And yes, we had other people doing it, but I was like, oh, they can go to the bathroom. I'll do it. How many people are really going to be here? And then there was a time there was like 4 or 5 people, and I was like, there's 5 people. I should not be doing this in line, panic, which was great. That's, and that's when, anxiety comes into play, right? Oh yeah. You look at it and, a simple thing like that, most people can do, right? Mm-hmm. And they have no problem doing it. And, a teacher would be like, oh, it's easy to do it. I've done it. But you don't have this. They don't have the understanding. So that's why we're obviously being, we're very open. We do what we do to talk about it, to understand we're struggling too in these positions. Elizabeth is Rain Man, hand her numbers, in the middle of the night, I hear her 12, 22, as she's sleeping, right? So she's got that, right? So everybody's got their strengths, weaknesses, but we talk about our weaknesses because you're not alone in this journey. Whoever's listening, or if we're not honest about it, and and it's uncomfortable. It sucks. It sucks. And so just think about a kid in a classroom with their peers, like, even though we know we have these learning differences, whether they're caught or not, you feel dumb. I mean, and it's still like, even though I know that I
am not dumb, but math, I mean, I really have no sense of it. I'm terrible with money.
I told Elizabeth recently, and, if I go up to a cashier somewhere and the price is wrong, very rarely will I say, I think the price is wrong, because I'm afraid I'm wrong.
Right. Oh, totally.
Now, if it's $1,000, big money off, right? But if it's, a couple bucks, and Elizabeth's got no problem negotiating down and doing all the things and things she gets, I could never do that, because
no, me either.
What if I'm wrong?
Totally.
Now I look dumb. Now I'm the idiot. Now I'm stupid. Like all these things that come in there, and I leave there questioning myself. Oh, even if I didn't do it, shit, was it wrong? Should I do it? Why didn't I do it?
I do that. Yeah. Because I have there's none. Right. And and it's like, even if someone gives me back change, and I cannot do that in my head. Right. Can't. Right. Even tipping at restaurants, I have to get my calculator or ask my kid. And there's all those tricks. Take the decimal and move it to the left, to the right. I mean, my mom would teach me all the time. Or you double the tax. Like, that's another one people would say, just take the tax and double. I always just I'm like, $20, $25, or if it's like more, or if it's more than like 200, then I know you do more.
Guy Elizabeth's like, what?
Yeah, and my nail and hair people love me. And then you can't go back, and then when you calculate it, you're like, oh, all right. And it's not like I'm Rockefeller, but whatever. It all comes back, but it is one of these things that a disability, again, it's hidden, like dyslexia. You're not reading and writing, but math is incorporated in a lot of things. And it's exhausting. Tax time. I mean, poor Dan will be like, okay, did you get all your taxes together? And he'll be like, okay, how much was this? And I just make numbers up. And he's like, okay, honey, is that right? And I'm like, I'd probably not. Why are you asking me? He's like, all right, but he's really funny, because he'll be like, he won't he's not going to sit and be like, let me do it with you. And I'm like, honey, I'm not going to give you the correct stuff. Like, I have no idea. I'm terrible at keeping it. Nope, it's out. It's gone. It's what was it? I don't know what it costs. It seems like it's a great deal. No, it's not a great deal. I'm really bad. So I wanted to talk about it, because I do think that so many people don't understand that it's literally our brains. It's not like it's working slower or anything. Like, I literally go blank the second someone starts throwing numbers at me. And I remember Penelope, when she was little, her favorite thing, oh my God. And it would be like at the end of the day, my headphone just fell out. At the end of the day, she would ask me how much, like, mommy, what is this? Plus this, plus this, plus this. And I would be like, honey, I don't know. And I remember, she would quiz all the time, and it was hard, because better
you than me.
Oh, yeah. So we just wanted kind of people to understand that's what dyscalculia is. And it's another thing you have to understand.
Another one of the 5 Ds.
Yep, it is. Thank you for listening to another episode of Word Blindness Dyslexia Exposed on our wonderful journey of dyscalculia. You know what to do: like, rate, review, and share, because you really don't know who has this, or all of a sudden they might be like, wait, I think I have it. Because there is a thing when someone maybe wasn't taught correctly, but if it's that difficult, it's usually because you have a learning disability. It's not because you weren't taught and you're dumb. It's because you learn different. So definitely check this out and share. We will see you for another episode of Word Blindness Dyslexia Exposed.